Okay, today we are taking a look at the Tracfone Huawei Glory. This one retails for $99.99 on the Tracfone website and at Walmart, or I guess anywhere else you can get a Tracfone, I suppose. This is a CDMA phone, so Tracfone will activate you with either Verizon or Sprint, and it does come with the 3 times minute plan, so you get triple the minutes, data, and texts on any card that you buy. The phone, if you buy it right now, is coming with a 300 megabyte data card, which is a $10 value. So at the if you 3 times that, then you get almost a gig for free. The highlights on this phone are basically Android 4.0, a 1 gig processor, and 3 megapixel camera. If you're looking at the other Tracfone Androids, then really this one compares to the Valet and the Samsung Centura somewhat, though this one is probably a little bit faster than the Centura. As I said, this one comes with Android 4.0, so I believe that one is Ice Cream Sandwich. So as you see, there is 4.0.4 is the Android version. Now this phone does not come with an SD card, so you will need to buy one if you want one. I believe the Valet, which sells for about the same price as this, I believe, does come with one. So if that's important to you, then maybe you want to take a look at the Valet. Now the design on this phone is pretty basic, which is common on the 4 Androids I think they have right now for Tracfone. The layout on it is pretty common to these entry-level Androids. As you can see, you have the 3 capacitive touch buttons at the bottom. There's no trim, not much of decorative trim on this phone. It's all black. This area here is all flat black, and it's got a bit of that rubberized texture feel to it. The battery cover is all black, and as you can see, the camera is pretty basic. There's no LED flash. It's just a plain old camera, which is 3 megapixels, as I said. And then on the front, it is all plastic construction, of course, which is common on these. And the screen, this is kind of common on the Huawei's, I think. The screen is a little bit raised above the body of the phone, if you can see that right there. Now, as far as the rest of the stuff on the phone, on the top left you have the charge port. On the top you have your iPod headphone jack. You have your power/lock button, and then on the right you have the volume buttons. Doesn't have a dedicated camera button. Measurements on this one are about 4.5 inches tall. As you can see, 4.6 or so. It's about 2.5 wide. You have 2.45, and the thickness is around 1/2 inch, 0.48. Now the screen measures 3.5 inches. So we have 3.53 or so. So as far as the screen size is concerned, it's the same as the Valet, and I think the Centura also has a 3.5 inch screen. Okay, now for the Android stuff, this one comes with all the standard things that all the others come with. Of course, you have your Play Store for downloading apps. And in case you're wondering, you can download any app you want. Of course, you will need a Google account. The app downloads are not restricted by Tracfone. Of course, they do use your data. but they're not restricted by Tracfone, and they're not billed by Tracfone. So any app that you download, Google is in charge of billing you. Of course, you will need a credit card on file with them if you want to get paid apps. But of course, there's tons of free ones, so a credit card isn't absolutely necessary for downloading stuff. And this phone is robust enough that it'll handle pretty much most of the most apps. Some of the more advanced games probably aren't going to do as well on this phone as some of the higher end phones, because this is a 1 gig processor. As far as the other Google stuff goes, of course it has navigation, Google Maps, YouTube, all the usual items. It does have GPS capabilities, as all the other Android track phones do. Now I believe the phone, you don't need necessarily need data for the navigation, though it will use data to download the maps. But as far as navigating goes, it is GPS enabled, so it will use the GPS for that. Next on the Google items is, of course, Google Maps, which is basically essentially similar or the same as the navigation. Scrolling, zooming in and out on this phone is very smooth, so there's not a whole lot of hesitation on it, as you can see. Then we have YouTube, which comes standard in all these track phones, already pre-installed, or on the Android operating system, I should say. And YouTube plays nice on this. It's real smooth. No problems playing videos. Of course, again, you will need data, or it will consume your data, so probably don't want to spend a ton of time watching videos on these Tracfone plans, because data can get a little expensive. If you want extensive data, then I would go probably with Straight Talk versus Tracfone. These phones are designed more for the casual data user more than the extensive data user. But as you can see, YouTube plays real nice on this phone, nice and smooth. The display is fairly small, so the resolution isn't the best, but it does look fairly good. And as you'll notice, it does have the motion sensing capabilities. And that's about it on the Google items worth talking about. Of course, it's got all the other extras like Gmail, you can play music, MP3s, etc., etc. Now, one thing that this Huawei has that the other track phones don't have, and that's the FM radio. So if that's important to you, then you might, or if it's something you'd like to have, then this is the only Tracfone Android that has FM radio, I believe. And this is not an app. It actually gets over-the-air radio. You do need to install the headphone jack for it to work, because it also uses it as the antenna. But it's not an app. It's an actual radio, so it would come in handy in emergency type situations. So I think that about covers everything on this phone. It's a good phone. It's $99.99. I would say it's just as good as the Valet. If you're considering one of the two, then I would probably go with the Valet, because the Valet has a few little extras. The Valet, for example, has an LED flash. This one doesn't. The Valet has a dedicated camera button, and it does come with a data card or the SD card. It comes with a 4 gig SD card. Now, on the other hand, the Valet does not have that FM radio, so if it's something that you'd like to have, then this is the only one that comes with FM radio from Tracfone. But overall, again, this is a good phone, worth looking at. And I would definitely recommend this one over the Centura, because it's more powerful, though it doesn't look as nice. So if I were to rate this one, I would put it in between the Valet and the Centura, so I'd say it's probably about the second best phone you can get for the Tracfone plan.